Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. Before this video starts, I just wanted to apologise for the slightly lower quality of this video. There were many technical difficulties that are yet to be resolved, so I made the decision to put this video out anyway to stick to my once fortnightly schedule. I hope you can understand this, and I hope to have these issues resolved in time for the next video. But for now, in spite of this, I hope this video is useful and that you enjoy it. Thank you for watching.
When you were playing that record, what were you thinking?
Welcome back. Today, as heavily requested, we'll be taking a look at the bass line for Things I Thought Were Mine. Now, this track can be quite tricky as it requires you to pay close attention to the metronome while playing nowhere near it at all. Much like the last video, there will be timestamps in the description to help you navigate through this video, whether you're returning to it or just feel like you need to brush up on an individual part that you've already looked at. There are a few ways that I play which differ slightly to the original, so I'll show you both the recorded version as well as my way of playing in those instances. So first, let's take a look at the breakdown of the individual parts.
Nice.
Okay, so now we're all tuned up, let's take a look at the root notes. We're starting on the C sharp, before moving from the A to the E, G sharp to C sharp, then F sharp to C sharp. So like the last video, we'll be splitting it into sections. So we'll start off with section 1, which is really simple. We start on the C sharp and play it twice. And then we do a chromatic run from the B back up to the C sharp. So that's. And then played in rhythm, that's. So that's section 1, nice and easy. Now we're moving on to section 2, which starts on the A, goes down to the G sharp, back up to the A, to the B, play the B again, then up to the E. Now, that's the recorded version. The only slight differences to the way that I play it is that I prefer to go down to the low E before playing the octave instead of playing that second B note. So first I'll play it how it would be on the recording. Whereas I prefer to go. So it's a very slight difference. To me, it just sounds a bit more bouncy and fun. But if you're looking to play the recorded version, stick to that B. The way that I'm going to be playing it live is moving back down to that E before moving to the octave. So played slowly, section 1 and 2 back to back should sound like this. Speeding it up a little. So you should be playing it in a way that's quite bouncy, as it doesn't necessarily stick directly to the click notes, so you're playing it with some syncopation. And that's meant to feel, like I said, bouncy and a bit more fun. So moving on to section 3, we'll be moving our hand up the neck a little bit, and we'll be playing the octave up of the G sharp, the octave down, the C, the D sharp, before going back to the C sharp. So that first octave is simple. And then moving your hand over to the C, make sure you're not rushing that. Make sure it's a completely relaxed movement. You could even, if you feel like you're up for it, to make it even more relaxed, is stick to using the fourth finger and then the second to do the octave. That keeps it all within sort of a finger per fret, that might be a bit of a stretch to move from that pinky down to that second finger. And so moving on to section 4, we'll be moving back down to that original hand position. I find doing a slide from the G sharp down to that F sharp makes it sound quite fluid and can make it sound just that bit more continuous of a bass line rather than sounding like individual sections back to back. So we'll be going from that F sharp to the G sharp and back to that C sharp. So sliding down would be... So played slowly at first, sections 3 and 4 together should sound like this. Sped up a little bit. So if you feel the need, go back and practice those individual sections and then their co-sections before we move on to playing the sections all the way through. So to start off with, I'll play it slower, and then afterwards I'll start bringing it up in speed a little bit. So slowly it would be... and again. And so speeding it up a bit, it just sounds like this. So the second time I played it then, I added in a bit of a slide in that first phrase. That's just to accentuate the second part as being slightly different to the first part. So rather than doing the... on that second time round, I did... So that's just adding in an extra note and sliding to that open and then leading into that second section. So played back to back with that slide added in once again. So those 4 sections are going to be your bread and butter throughout this whole track until we reach the bridge. Now, much like Obvious Guy, the consistency is key to this track. So make sure you go back, practice the individual sections, practice them together, and practice them all the way through before you start tackling the full song. Make sure that you can play them twice, 3 times, 4 times through, and just start to build it up more and more until you can get to playing the whole track all the way through in a way that you're happy with. So once again, like Obvious Guy, the bridge is a chance to add a bit of flair if you wish. There's a nice gap for you to mix things up a little bit. But if you'd like to play it like the track, then it switches to a almost B section of the first part, and that familiarity of it is the thing that actually makes it a bit difficult. So I'll split this down into 3 sections before we bring it all back together. The first section starts off on the F sharp, before moving down to the E, back to the F sharp, to the G sharp, and then down to that C sharp. Now, the E note you can play one of 2 ways. I'll show you my less preferred way first, and then I'll show you my preferred way. My less preferred way is going down onto the string below, and the second and my preferred way is to move it down to that 2nd fret, as it's a chance for the line to be a little bit cooler and have a slide that makes it sound a bit more slick. that slide down and then up just makes it sound a whole lot more fluid. So play slowly. And then sped up a bit more. Make sure you're still hitting that lower note rather than just going down and then back onto it, because it still needs that bit of impact. And so section 2 is where things get a little bit familiar, as it's quite similar to section 2 from earlier on in the song. So you're starting off on that A, moving to the G sharp, back to the A, but this time you're moving up to the C sharp before moving to the B. So this is one that for me took quite some time to practice in and get 100% confident on. So start off playing it slowly. And then speeding up a bit. Then moving on to the third section, which is really simple. It's just going from the G sharp to the B to the C sharp. And then with a bit of rhythm added to it. So slowly it's then you're repeating the third part again. So played slowly throughout the whole of these 3 sections, it should sound like this. Like I said before, there's quite a few opportunities to add in some flair, some slides, changing the accenting of notes, adding in some ghost notes. So when I speed it up here, I'll start to show you some of the stuff you can add in. So those are all the parts that you need to play Things I Thought Were Mine. Before we get into playing it in its entirety, make sure you've practiced the individual sections as well as them as a collective until you feel comfortable. Take as long as you need to do this, there is no rush whatsoever. If you need a break, take a step away from it, go and grab some water and return feeling refreshed and ready to try again. So now, all that's left to do is to take a look at the whole track. If you'd like to send your progress over to my Twitter, I'd absolutely love to see how you're doing with it. But for now, the click will be coming in soon. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.